Hey everyone, welcome to today's explainer. We're going to dive right into something absolutely fascinating, a macro to micro look at the hidden architecture driving the 2026 political cycle. Now, if you're used to looking at our elections as just a messy, chaotic collision of daily polls, social media outrage, and shifting personalities, get ready to completely change your perspective today. We are stepping away from that exhausting 24-hour news cycle. Instead, we're going to look at the underlying immutable code of time itself. Sounds wild, right? Let's get right into it. To do this, we'll be using an analytical framework called Numeric Humanism. Think of it like looking through two completely different lenses. On one side, you've got the exoteric. This is the observable data, the surface noise of polling, the daily news turn, the generic ballots. It's inherently reactive. But on the flip side, we have the esoteric. This is the temporal blueprint. It's the deeper mathematical code of time that actually dictates when complex human systems expand and when they're forced to contract. Throughout this explainer, we're going to blend both of these realities together to show you exactly why 2026 isn't just another midterm election. It's actually a mathematically ordained systemic rebalancing of power. So, here's our roadmap for decoding the system today. We'll start with the exoteric substrate, then move into the mathematical breaking field, followed by the deep time mirror. After that, we'll look at the 1978 fatigue, the third node stabilizer, and finally, we'll wrap up with some strategic protocols. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the exoteric substrate, or current political friction. Let's first ground our analysis in tangible, everyday reality by examining the immense pressure currently weighing on the system. $4.18. That's the average price of a gallon of gasoline right now, and it signals an incredibly intense economic pressure cooker for the everyday voter. It's not just a statistic on a page, it is the exoteric daily friction that literally grinds down patience and goodwill. Now combine this heavy economic weight with presidential approval ratings sitting at a highly volatile 34%, and well, you've got massive, unavoidable friction points. This is the heavy exoteric gravity meeting the party that currently holds executive power. And structurally, the vulnerability created by all that friction is just staggering. Going into the 120th Congress, nearly 88% of the federal voting legislative structure enters absolute electoral exposure. Just to put that into perspective, that's 470 out of 535 voting seats. So we have a highly volatile public environment crashing directly into almost total systemic exposure at the federal level. Which brings us to Section 2, the mathematical breaking field, focusing on Khlebnikov's reversal. Now we're shifting our lens from the surface data to the esoteric math to see exactly why momentum from 2024 is about to hit a brick wall. The crucial point here comes from Velimir Khlebnikov's temporal framework. Through some really deep historical analysis, he discovered that powers of 3 represent the exact moment when a structural yes begins to meet its answering no. Now, it is absolutely vital to understand that this isn't some mystical prophecy, okay? It is pure mechanical friction. It's the precise point where a system, having swung as far as it possibly can in one direction, attempts to correct its sign, flipping from a +1 of forward momentum to a -1 of reversal. Think of a pendulum reaching its absolute highest point before it has literally no choice but to swing back. Khlebnikov meticulously documented this in his authentic manuscript, known as the Tables of Destiny. He mapped out what he called the star language of time, showing how massive historical events and their corresponding counter-events are inexorably linked through these specific mathematical intervals. So what this proves is that we aren't looking at a traditional political prediction based on polling. Not at all. We're looking at a structural equation where the universe essentially says, wait, and initiates a necessary counter-movement to restore balance. So let's apply this formula directly to our current political timeline. If November 5th, 2024 was the anchor, the decisive yes of executive momentum, then November 3rd, 2026 lands exactly at 3 to the 6th power. That is 729 counted days later. This places the 2026 midterms directly in the center of a mathematical breaking field. The executive branch momentum hits a mathematical wall. It's the definitive no to power. Moving on to Section 3. The deep time mirror, or the Reconstruction resonance. Let's zoom out a bit to see how this specific mathematical threshold perfectly mirrors a profound historical rupture. Okay, this is perhaps the most breathtaking connection in our entire explainer. 3 to the 10th power is exactly 59,049 days. If you count back exactly 59,049 days from November 3rd, 2026, you land precisely on March 3rd, 1865. That is the exact day Congress passed the Freedmen's Bureau Act. Now, why does this matter? Well, because 1865 was a year of Reconstruction. It wasn't about fighting a war anymore. It was about the complex reorganization of civic authority after a massive rupture. The core themes of 1865, debates over labor, fundamental rights, and that immense tension between federal oversight and local authority, they're resurfacing perfectly in 2026 as the nation once again debates its fundamental operating protocols. Next up is Section 4, the 1978 Fatigue and Institutional Cycles. Let's pull the narrative back to slightly more recent history to observe another cycle of deep institutional friction. This mathematical framework also highlights a 48-year resonance, linking us directly to 1978. Think about the landscape back then. It was heavily characterized by profound institutional fatigue and a sweeping anti-centralizing revolt, perfectly epitomized by California's Proposition 13. We're seeing an exact parallel today. Everyday voters are simply exhausted by grand ideological battles. Instead, they're demanding a return to localized, pragmatic economic protocols, focusing on things like taxation, inflation, and maintaining a really intense, unyielding skepticism towards centralized authority. Now, for Section 5, the third node stabilizer, exploring cryptographic consensus logic. Because when a binary political system generates too much frictional heat, it searches for a technological escape valve. Consider the profound logic found within Satoshi Nakamoto's famous Bitcoin white paper. Nakamoto recognized a fundamental flaw in traditional systems. Relying on a central, trusted third party inherently creates a single point of failure. It generates immense systemic friction. But by utilizing decentralized cryptographic proof, you completely remove the need for that centralized trust. You stabilize extreme volatility not through human consensus, which is flawed, but through immutable code and verification. If we apply that cryptographic logic directly to our 2026 timeline, we get the concept of the third node stabilizer. See, when Republican and Democratic forces collide and create unbearable frictional heat, the system desperately needs an escape valve. This paves the way for the rise of the technocratic reformer, the non-aligned crisis manager. These figures aren't there to fight the opposing political machine, they're there to literally fix the broken operating system. It's much like how a blockchain protocol or decentralized AI enforces systemic stability and verification without ever actually taking political sides. And finally, Section 6, Strategic Protocols, creating an actionable framework for 2026. Combining the exoteric reality of gas prices and polling with the esoteric math of the breaking field, what is the actionable framework here? What are the mathematically ordained strategies? Since 2026 is a rebalancing year, a definitive mathematical counterwave, the party holding executive momentum, currently the Republicans, face the severe risk of overreach. Mathematically speaking, their only sound move in the face of this breaking field is absolute consolidation and ensuring the durability of what they already hold. Expansion is a trap. For Democrats, the risk lies in framing the election simply as a disruption fueled by outrage. To succeed mathematically, they must posture themselves as grounded agents of systemic repair and household security. And for independents, well, their ultimate posture is crystal clear. It's saying, I'm not here to join the partisan machine. I'm here to fix the operating system. The ultimate winners of 2026 will be the pragmatic repairmen, not the disruptors. Which leaves us with this final, essential thought. The year 2026 is absolutely not just another midterm election. It is a fundamental mathematical correction point that was locked into place the exact moment the 2024 anchor was set. So when that 729th day arrives and the breaking field activates, will you be caught in the partisan noise, or will you understand the architecture of time well enough to become an architect of repair? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this analysis helps you see the cycle in a completely new light.